Hello, it is I, Grendel Nightshade again, for the final episode of Retro Reviews Halloween. And since it is Halloween, Paul let me finish this one off my way. And we're going to be talking about... Who the hell are you, and how did you get into the retro game room? Yes, I see, but why are you here then? I was going to review some crappy NES game to end this, but since Paul is letting me do this my way, I will take you up on your offer and review Undertale, so let's do this. Now, this one is not as easy to talk about as the past few games I've done this month. I mean, most of them have a rather simple plot that is easy to explain, but Undertale, well, that is a different story altogether. Before I get into the plot of this absolute masterpiece of indie gaming, I must first give props to its brilliant creator, Toby Fox. So you see, this game was funded by crowdfunding using Kickstarter, that wonderful site that helps indie developers and other creative people, and some that are not so creative and just want to scam people, fund projects. So Toby, using what little game developing knowledge he had, went to work, and in September of 2015 the game was released for PC and Mac. It wasn't until 2017 and this year that the game was then released to consoles, but enough of that, let's get into the plot. You play as a small child who has fallen down a hole to a world deep under the earth called the Underground, and you're tasked with finding your way back to the surface. The first person you meet is a talking flower called Flowery, who tells you that to raise your LV or love, you have to gain EXP or experience by killing monsters along the way. And your first battle begins, but just when all hope is lost, Flowery is stopped by Toriel, a motherly goat-like creature, who then takes you to the ruins where she teaches you how to solve puzzles and fight battles without killing. Apparently, I have a phone call. Yes, this is Grendel. What flavors do I like, butterscotch or cinnamon? I'll take butterscotch. Where was I? Oh yeah. Once you make your way through the ruins, you end up at Toriel's house, who she intends to keep you there safe from Asgore, the king of all monsters. You then take a nap only to wake up with a slice of butterscotch cinnamon pie waiting for you on the floor. Now this is where the game really starts to begin. You first have to make your way down the stairs to the basement and walk down the hall a bit till you are stopped by Toriel, who tells you that it is dangerous to go any further and pulls you back up the stairs. As you keep doing the same thing, she realizes that you are determined to go forward to the rest of the Underground, and your first real battle begins with her. Now this is where the two main paths you can play start. The Pacifist, where you spare every monster you encounter, or the Genocide path, where you kill every monster that gets in your way. However, if it is your first time playing the game, you get the Neutral path, where you kill some of the monsters, but not all. So after you beat Toriel and go further into the Underground, you encounter Sans, a skeleton with tasked with guarding the Underground against humans. But all he really wants to do is tell bad jokes and have fun. He really doesn't want to hurt you, so he protects you from his brother Papyrus, another skeleton who is trying desperately to be a member of the Royal Guard and will impress the head of the Guard, Undying. Most of the game you will encounter other characters who either will help you or will battle you. I will say this, depending on how you play the game depends on the outcome at the end. So I tried in vain to complete the entire game to give you a good idea of gameplay for this, but it took me lots of hours and a few days to get near the end, and after several tries to beat one of the final bosses, I just gave up. But that is not going to stop me from reviewing this game. First off, let me say this. For a game that 1 was an indie project and 2 funded by crowdfunding, Undertale is pure gold. The retro style of the game is awesome for older gamers who grew up playing old role-playing games on the NES like Final Fantasy and Earthbound. And it also looks awesome for younger gamers who like a challenge, and this game is just a challenging masterpiece. The gameplay is just pure gold. The controls are simple if you got this game on Steam. You can choose to use the arrow keys and enter to move and interact, and sometimes using the X or Z keys as well. Or you can do what I did and just hooked up a controller and use that. It reminded me of playing Earthbound on the Super NES, where you basically just explore and interact with your surroundings. And the whole deciding which path you wish to take is awesome as well, which reminded me of playing Knights of the Old Republic. The graphics are gorgeous for a retro style game. They don't make the game look old or out of date, or look too overdone, making it look like the developer tried too hard to make the game. The music is phenomenal. The soundtrack to this game is not only fun to hear as you play, it also kind of sets the mood as well. For example, when you encounter a battle, the music gets a bit more upbeat and frantic. At points when the game needs to show some exposition, the music sets the mood there as well. And at times, depending on the NPC, you might get a specific theme or battle for that NPC. For example, if you choose the genocide path in the game, when you get near the end of the game, just before you get to Asgore, you encounter Sans once again, and its battle theme is one of my favorite in the game by far, called Megalomania. There are too many parts of this game to review and talk about, so at this point I will end this review with my final thoughts. Undertale is a masterpiece, from the RPG-like gameplay to the retro graphics and 8-bit music. It is not a game that you just pick up and play once. Undertale is a game that you pick up and play now, and then years later play again, each time trying different methods of playing the game. I would highly recommend this game to those that are fans of retro RPGs, and those that are fans of retro games in general. Since my fate on this channel is up to Paul, and Halloween is over after this, I am Grendel Nightshade saying peace out and stay scary.